You know, a lot of people could learn from that, you know, that you guys were able to get through that as maturely as possible. It sounds like there was a lot of pain on both sides, but especially for him, and that's understandable.
Right.
But it sounds like you worked with him through that well, and
Right.
vice versa.
Yeah, and was even the co-parenting thing was a process, and at the end of the day, though, we have these two kids together,
Yeah.
and we made this commitment, and we're going to make this work, and soon after, we still did birthdays together. We did, hey, I'm taking the kids to Disneyland. Hey, let's go. So we started doing things, co-parenting. People would be like, wow, I wish I could do that with my partner,
Yeah.
or my ex-partner or whatever, or,
Yeah.
My ex-husband. I wish we could do that. Like we're two separate entities now.
Yeah.
And
Right.
yeah. And for me, it was important to us to keep some kind of normal. Every Thursday night, it was family dinner. We'd go to a restaurant and have dinner together.
That's cool.
Birthdays, we did them together. We still do birthdays together.
Right.
My 18-year-old and my 14-year-old, we still do birthdays together. Like
Yeah.
their birthday, we go to dinner or we take them somewhere. We still do it together. Like that's something that people have seen my post on Facebook and they're like, that is so awesome. And I'm like, and in no shape or form am I trying to paint like it's butterflies and cupcakes still, but we made this commitment to these kids that we're going to keep working at our co-parenting relationship. Hasn't been easy, but we owe it to these little humans that we created together. And we even did a family vacation, 4 or 5 years ago. I was like, hey, do you want to go on vacation with the kids? Because the only vacation me and him took, because again, we did nothing. Like we did nothing. So, I was like, do you want to go on a vacation with us? We're going to do a vacation. Do you want to come? And I'm like, I want my kids to experience a vacation with you if you're okay with that. And we did. We went to Cancun as a family, got a 2-bedroom suite. He stayed with his boy. I stayed with my girl. And we did a family vacation. And, we're taking pictures of the family and my family's seeing it on Facebook. Like, what, are you guys back together? No. Not at all. No. But I just want my kids to always forever remember this.
To have
the memory.
So going back to that new normal that you talked about and like creating experiences of traveling, obviously at the beginning, it's a really hard stage. Like I've read somewhere and it's so true. At the very beginning, you personally, you go through a lot of relief, but the kids tend to go through, a transition. But then when it starts to settle and the dust settles and everything, you start to really settle into that normal. I feel like after the first year has gone by, it's always like, okay, the normal starts to really become normal. So, like, tell me about what, like, between that point and now, over the last, 10 years or something?
10 years, yeah. 10,
that you've been 11, single. Like, what did you do to make your normal? Like, how did you make that decade of your life
our normal?
Yeah.
Well, I always taught my kids that life is about experiences. I learned that from somebody that ask your kid what they got for their birthday when they were 6 or for Christmas when they were 6. They might not remember when they're teenagers, but ask them when was the first time they touched snow. They'll remember that.
Yeah.
And it takes me back to the first time I took them to Yosemite in the snow. And I remember hearing my daughter say, this is the best day ever. And, because she's like eating snow and playing with, they had a really big storm. And it was just awesome because that just validated to me what I was creating, like this new life for my children about experiences. And I fast forward, so many years, that has been our theme in our family. Life is about experiences, whether it's if we're going on vacations or we're having a conversation at the dinner table or we're watching a documentary and we're talking about what that that part of the world is going through, or it's just it was very important to me to create connection with my kids. So that was our new normal. Like we're going to invest in this family unit.
What's the best experience you feel like you've had with them, other than maybe just a home experience like that, but like maybe one of your travel experiences?
We took a helicopter ride in Maui, And,
wow.
yeah, it was awesome
So
to,
cool.
it was my first time in a helicopter. I didn't grow up going on vacations. So for me, vacations meant family vacations. I'm going to Mexico and visiting family, which was awesome because that's all I ever got. So, I mean, that to me was awesome. But now, showing them different parts of the world, so they just creating that that they can, make life isn't just the four walls. You can create whatever you want in your life. And for me, it was creating, like I said, creating experiences. So yeah, taking them in a helicopter ride in Maui. Let's see, what else have we done that's crazy? Parasailing in Cabo.
So fun.
Yeah, snorkeling in cenotes in Cancun. They've had many fun experiences. They're blessed children.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like what stands out, I mean, even with me having 3 kids, I can't do a lot of that traveling, but I feel like if I had a husband too, there'd be no fucking way I'd be able to travel. Like, it almost feels like this is one thing that I hear is like a common theme. How much, no offense, like men out there, but like how much baggage we lose once we drop the weight of a partner. Like, we can fly more often, we could travel, like our expenses seem to get better.
Yes.
I'm not trying to say out to everybody like you should be single and it's great, like I'm not, but it's funny how when you get to that stage in your singledom life where you're like, man, like I do so much more because I can afford to do it than if I had been with my spouse still. We wouldn't have been able to afford to do that.
Right. And I think once we decide that, again, we're going to create this new life, we're going to create this new normal for us, then we reach out because most of the times I travel with friends, and, we've gotten to do a little getaway with our daughters, and it just, you split the costs, you have someone that, a mom that you're going to travel with, and, you create your village, you create your community of who's going to help you co-parent, as well, because, we help each other out on different levels, and we get to create more experiences for our kids like that. And like you said, it's no more like considering this baggage that we had of this relationship that just wasn't working, that would just and we decided to we're going to make something happen, and because we're going to make something happen, we're going to now create a village that's going to help us.
I do feel like you're right, like the more experiences we create for children that are happy ones, because it's so natural in nature to remember the bad things in life and the sadness or whatever it is. It's easier to go towards the negative, but the more that we create for our kids that are happy and joyful, and it will, I knew that I felt this way, I'm sure you do, that hopefully will outweigh any of that sadness and the negativity they remember, and or at least make up for some of it,
Right.
Because it's what we owe them, because we did do that sacrifice to be a present parent and to help, give them a great life. So now it's time to deliver.
Right, exactly.
Right? And do our best, but at the same time, like, we're humans and we're never perfect, and, It's not easy, though, still. Even in our joyous new normal, we still sometimes have times where we're like, oh, man, this is so hard.
Oh, yeah. Definitely, yeah. And I've had many conversations with my kids and my daughter, because I think she doesn't remember us being together. For her, it's been a lot easier for her to, like, love her normal, which is my son's, and my new normal. She wouldn't have it any other way. She's like, she knows the experiences she's had in that household and the experiences she has in this household, and she's like, I love it, but how she, of course everything has its pros and its cons, and has she said, I wish, it would have worked out, or, but she understands it, and she's fine with it. My son, I think my son's the one who's always had a harder time with it, because he got to experience that white picket fence and the mom and the dad. But of course they're little, so they don't know what's going on behind closed doors. So so for him it was, it took some adjusting, a lot of years of adjusting, and especially coming out to my kids, and that was probably the hardest.
Talk about that. Like, how was that? And what age were they?
Well, my son was probably about...
Wait a second. So they didn't, so you had a girlfriend quite soon after separating from their dad, but they didn't know?
They didn't meet her right away, because I wanted to make sure that was a relationship that was going to keep going, and that was going to work. And finally, when we decided to meet, I didn't introduce them as my girlfriend.
Oh, so she was a friend.
She was my best. Okay. She was my best friend for many years.
That's so much easier to pull off than my world.
Right.
Hey kids, meet my new best friend.
Right. And
this boy right here.
Yeah, and she's gonna sleep in my bed because that's
what girls do.
It's a slumber party. So I got away with it for several years until because I was so nervous about how my kids gonna. And I wanted to make sure that they would understand.
Yeah.
So coming out to them, that was scarier than coming out to my parents when I was 14. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because these are my children, Yeah. What are they going to think of me?
Did you tell them separately in different times or at the same time?
No, different times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, my daughter, because that was her normal, she was like, oh, she thought she was your best friend, but she's your girlfriend? Like, she was a little confused.
How old was she?
She was probably about 7.
Oh, yeah, I think about Dom. I mean, he just turned 8, and really, boys are way behind girls, so he's probably like a 6-year-old girl, He'd probably be like, what?
Yeah, she was like a little confused, like, she's your girlfriend, but she's so she was a little like, whatever. like whatever. Yeah. And my son was just like,
how old was he?
He was probably
11. Wait, she was what, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11? Yeah, 11.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he was just like, why can't you be normal, Mom? Oh. And I'm like, shit, dude, that damn word again.
Yeah.
The normal,
normal.
Yeah, the normal. And, it was hard because, here I go again. I'm not normal. But, I explained to him that this is just who I am, and, that doesn't take away from who I am to him and the life he's lived. And, and there's plenty of kids in his school that have friends that, that their moms are gay. And then he's like, yeah, so-and-so's mom, is, I'm like, see? And he's like, like, okay, just kind of, but after that talk, it was kind of like, because at that point, I think I was still dating my ex, I believe. And
your ex-girlfriend, not
my
your
ex-girlfriend. Yeah, my ex-girlfriend. And so, I mean, it took so much, like, he didn't fight it at that point. It was just kind of like his reaction was, why can't you be normal? And then after that, it was just continued his normal, which, her coming over, or us doing things together as a family, her helping out, because she helped me tremendously raising those kids. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
It reminds me of when maybe like 2 years after I left my ex, and me and the kids were in our, transitioning into our new normal. The kids, we had changed schools. They were going to a little Christian school, and which was a blessing for me because I didn't have anyone to help me at all other than the school. It was a very small, little close-knit school, and then they had the daycare, and they were like family, if you will, so I was grateful for that. But anyway, my middle kid came home one day and she was crying. I said, what's wrong? And she said, I'm the only kid in my class that has divorced parents, or two, parents that are in separate homes, and it's not normal. I remember she was saying that, and I just remember that. So, like, of course, stuff like that breaks your heart. And then I thought to myself, man, this would be nice if she was in public school right now, because I think she'd be abnormal, if she had parents together. Not to say there's more people that stay together in Christian worlds, but like just typically it's a value. Marriage is a bit more valued in the Christian. So most of her friends did have parents that were together. That was just a fact, and it was a small classroom too. Anyway, but I did know of some kids that didn't have parents together. And so I was able to just say same kind of things. Well, that's, let's talk about what normal is, and everyone has their own normal. I remember telling her that, and it was comforting to her. And I talked to her about that all the time from that point on. Whenever I talked about friends that were gay, like my